Mic check 1 2. What is poppin', everyone? So today is a pretty special video. You know, one of the most kind of highly requested videos, I suppose, on the channel, or at least on my Instagram. We're going to be looking at entries, so 1M and 5 more, realistically more 5-second entries. But yeah, this is going to be basically a whole video on how I enter and get into the market. So buckle up. Yeah. So buckle up and get ready for a nice little entry criteria journey. So basically I have two forms of entry, either an Inceptive entry or a Peripheral entry. So an Inceptive entry, I will effectively be entering on the first kind of, it's almost like a 1 minute reversal trade effectively. So I'll be entering on kind of the first 1 minute change of character and confirmation on the low time frame of a 15-minute zone. And then the peripheral entry is effectively just like my order flow entry, so it's based upon kind of once we have established order flow away from a high time frame zone, then I'll get in on one of those zones. So yeah, that's all my entries ever are, is either an Inceptive entry or peripheral entry. Now there are kind of like slight variations within these two entries which I will go over, but yeah, to give you a premise, effectively what we're looking for an Inceptive entry is we want to see price coming into a 15-minute POI. We will have had all of our other criteria happen already, like such as liquidity and pricing and all of that. But yeah, so we want to see price tap a refined POI within our 15M POI. So you know, if our 15M POI is basically a buy to sell like this, and then we've got a refined POI like this, which, you know, something like this, which flips off supply to the left over here. So we tap into the refined POI, we give a 1 minute change of character and a 1 minute flip, and then basically I'll be entering on either the decisional, which is going to be, you know, the flip pretty much of the change of character, or the extreme. And I'll be entering on either the decisional or the extreme with a 5-second confirmation. So I basically want the 5-second to look like this. So in this area, I want the 5-second to come back in, give me a change of character and a flip, and then I will either enter with, you know, a buy stop or market execution if this zone is too big to cover my stop with effectively. So yeah, it's really simple, and of course there's a lot of kind of criteria that I need to see leading up to this to actually get involved. But in terms of actual entry model, this is basically it pretty much every time. Of course this is a long model, but we can do a short model, etc. It's just all the same thing but reverse direction. So yeah, Inceptive entry, we're getting in on the first, like basically the mitigation of the first change of character. So that's it, that's literally it. If peripheral entry is slightly more kind of, it can take more forms, we can see different variances of it, but all it is in essence is either, I mean, we can tap a refined POI, but effectively what I'm waiting to see if we don't tap a refined POI within a 15-minute zone is I want to see some established order flow away from the zone. So let's say we're coming in, we ignore this zone, and then we're kind of in the extreme of this demand POI on the left, and we give a 1 minute change of character. What we've seen here is we've seen 1 minute supply fail, but we haven't seen that demand is truly in control. We've just basically seen that supply has failed, and this could just be due to price wanting to effectively sweep this high right here and then continue lower. So that's, you know, this is what we could have just seen. You know, there could have been some supply further up which we tapped into, and we just swept this high to continue lower, and then we've just voided this whole demand POI. And you know, if you're looking to enter off this first POI, then your trade is scuppered. You know, you've just taken a hit, which is not what we want. So yeah, we need less confirmation if we tap a refined POI, and more confirmation if we don't. So, when we don't, and we've just got this price action here, so we just tap into the 15M, but we miss our refined POI, which is down here, then effectively I'll be waiting for the 1 minute change of character, and then a mitigation of valid demand within the 1 minute change of character. So either the extreme or the flip, the decisional. And then I want to see a mitigation of it and another confirmation of that level. So we take out this high, and then I will be happy to get involved on either basically the extreme, or we could get involved on the flip depending on liquidity. So yeah, that is effectively it. And then it's basically the same kind of 5-second entry criteria. We're just looking to enter on either the first change of character and entry on the extreme, or if the extreme doesn't do anything, then the decisional, or we wait for a confirmation of the decisional on the 5-second, and then we get involved there. And same again, it's just usually a buy stop or a limit order. So yeah, that is it basically for the theory behind my entries. Yeah, we'll go to the charts, and we'll look at an example of an entry on EU. So yeah, here you go. You can take a screenshot of this, do whatever you want with it. But yeah, that is effectively what I'm looking for. Okay, so we're on the real world charts, and I'm just gonna quickly draw up kind of this high time frame stuff so we can drop to the low time frame stuff. But we've got a supply that caused a change of character over here. We had a liquidation of this minor high. It's not a structural high because it doesn't break this low here, so it's just kind of resting inducement, which isn't structural, so a bit less confluence behind it. When we have a look at the refinements, effectively what we can see is there is basically this engulfed POI at the top, which we have, and we also have, we have these buy to sell wicks, but they're not really very nice, neither are these ones, but I'll draw them on. Ideally I want to see an engulfed candle, but yeah. Okay, so we come up and we take out this liquidity. Now again, I want to see more liquidity taken, but that's kind of a different video. But just for this one, I'll give you a little bit of extra liquidity source, and we'll properly go over it in another video. But here we've taken out this low, inducing sellers into the market from any of these levels. Now, of course, we haven't tapped into the POI yet, so we need to see that anyway. But there we tap into it, and we've just swept all of these sellers looking to get involved anywhere up here after this big drop. So yeah, sellers have been taken out of the market, and so we have seen the tap of this refined POI. Now it wasn't the best because it was just buy to sell wicks, but we have seen it. Now we want to see our 1 minute change of character. So here is the low that I want to go. So well, if you don't know what a change of character is, then I don't even know what to say, but if you don't know what a change of character is by now, then go do some homework because it's good to know what that is. But yeah, so we've got this demand right here which took out this high, and we can see that we basically tap into it, give a reaction, tap into it again, and then give another reaction and fail it. Now out of these two POIs, we can see that basically this one is engulfed, but it's not. It's kind of like it's the final interaction, whereas the extreme of the reaction up here has slightly more confluence because it mitigates. It has some internal order flow, so we mitigate this extreme effectively. We tap into the demand, we flip, we mitigate the extreme, and then we continue lower. Now this does get mitigated here with this little push up into it, but it's not very deep mitigation at all, whereas if we can see this one mitigates pretty much right to the top. So yeah, we've got more confluence for this POI up here, and I'll basically wait for this one to be tapped. Now price could come off this POI as well for sure, but I would rather, depending on kind of the price action that we've seen before this, Sometimes the extreme of the reaction, or well, most of the time it kind of gets respected more, but that is dependent on other price action that we've seen leading up to it. Right, so now we want to see, we've had our 1M change of character and we've had our flip. Now we want to see a 5-second reaction in either this zone or this zone. So let's see what we get. Ideally, I mean, this is where, again, I would wait for the top zone because I don't like this one as much, but it would still be valid to look for a change of character in this zone. So we come up into it and we are waiting for our 5-second change of character. Now there is a kind of very minor one up here, which would be super aggressive to take. Personally, I'd want to see a little bit more than that. So we get, this first one fails because it is very small, and we haven't had a 5-second liquidation yet as well. So once we basically see this high go, we've had a little 5-second liquidation, and we see a proper, nicely well-formed change of character, but we haven't had a flip yet. So, and it basically voids any of the demand down here, so we need to see a proper 5-second flip before we get in. So there's no entry here for me yet. Okay, and we take it out so that this fails. So if you had an order here, that would have been taken out unless you used like some kind of hefty stop loss covering the POI. Well, that's not even that big. I lie. But yeah, now we've tapped up into this higher POI, which was my preferred one. Well, we did tap it here, but of course we didn't get the flip. So yeah, we've tapped up into this one. We're looking for this low to go. And okay, so we take out this high again. So now we're looking for this low to go. And we can see we flip off this demand down here. So I'll just draw this inside bar as demand. We tap into it right there. Ooh. We tap into it right there and we make this flip zone. So at this point, I would basically be looking to enter off. I'd be looking to kind of market execution when price came up into here, roughly. You could get away with a bit more, something like that. But you're either doing that or you're waiting for the decisional to get confirmed. So if this zone was bigger and you couldn't cover the high with a reasonable stop loss, then you'd be waiting for the decisional to get confirmed. But let's see what happens. Okay, so there's a valid loss, and we can see, does that get voided? No. So we tap deeper into this POI, and we effectively, if we hop back out to the 1M, we can see that we've got our valid loss here, and we've just given another liquidation of this high. So there were sellers here, including ourselves, which just got liquidated, which was valid because we already had this liquidation of sellers over here anyway. So yeah, now we need to see our 1 minute change of character again. So that is where it is. We take out this low of this inside bar, so we've got this high, make a low, we take it out, and we can see that we've got a 1 minute flip as well. So being effectively this supply right here. So again, same thing, we're just looking for a 5-second confirmation of this zone. So this was an Inceptive entry up here. This is also going to be an Inceptive entry because we're entering on the first 1 minute change of character within the 15 MPOI. So let's see what we get. Okay, so it's our POI. We tap in, we've had a small 5-second liquidation right here of this high. And now we're waiting for our entry criteria, which is the change of character and the flip on the 5 seconds. So we tap into this demand, and if we fail, if this low goes, then we've had our flip and we've had our change of character. So the low goes right there. So we've got our extreme effectively up here, which I would want to be entering on initially, something like that, and we've also got our decisional down here because this is the flip that breaks the low. So what we need to see is effectively this decisional confirmed before we get in down here. And what we need to see happen is, to confirm it, is this low to go. So this is where I'm happy to use a sell stop under this low, because what we're working with such a small zone here that basically as soon as price pushes past here, there's, you know, that's less than a pip in this zone. So if you're waiting for price to come back up into this zone, you might not get tagged because it's so small. So that is where I'm happy to use, I'll just drag this down. Happy to use a sell stop under this low, because effectively, again, we're now confirming. So we've got the flip, push down, push back into the flip, and you know, we could come up into here and tap the extreme entry and then push down, but if we take out this low, then we've effectively confirmed the decisional. So I'll do the buy sell stop here, and as you can see, it slams right into your entry. So you're in this trade with currently no drawdown. And yeah, I'm not going to discuss targets too much, but this low is weak, so it should get run, and that could be a very valid first target, and we can see that is what happens. We take out the low. So yeah, that would be, this would be the Inceptive entry, and this, well, this is also an Inceptive entry. So let's go find a peripheral entry for you guys to demonstrate. Okay, so peripheral entry. Again, I'm going to do the high time frame stuff really quickly because that is not what we're focusing on in this video, but we can see that we tap into this supply, we sweep highs into it, and now we're looking for our entry. So because we haven't tapped a refined POI on the 15M, we need to see that order flow effectively. So let's see, so we get actually a first change of character here, which again, if you're looking to get in on this high, then you know you're taken out of the market because we haven't seen that kind of continued order flow away, which is my peripheral entry. I couldn't even say it then. But yeah, again, same thing happens here. We get a change of character. You could be looking to go short here, and you might get risk free. Let's see. Yeah, you could probably get risk free there, just about. But yeah, again, we're still waiting for that order flow because we haven't tapped a refined POI, so we want to see the order flow established and supply holding. So got this POI. And we've got this flip POI, so I'll just draw the change of character on. Excuse those sirens, but yeah, we liquidate these highs, we change character, we take out this low, and we've got the flip zone, and we've got this extreme up here. So we don't close below here, so that's not confirmed. And then we eventually tap up into the extreme, sweep this liquidity here, and then we do actually confirm the zone with the close. So yeah, at this point, I'm happy to kind of look for valid shorts. Now, we don't have an engulf POI here, really. So here we have basically the only engulf POI. So this would make sense to look for a 5-second entry in. So let's see what happens. Did I tap it? Looks like we wouldn't have got the 5-second entry, no. So we didn't get our change of character and flip on the 5 seconds, so, and you can see we trade above the POI here, so that POI is voided. See what we get. Okay, and we get continued order flow away since we break this low right here. So we can see that effectively, although we did sweep this POI, we still tapped into kind of overall supply here. So now again, we're looking for our entry because we've had this established order flow. So we've got 1 tap of supply, 2 tap of supply, and well, we're left with this now. So I'll just leave that there. And you know, we've seen multiple signs that demand is failing. We've seen the first fail of demand. We've seen a second fail of demand here, and now we've seen a third fail of demand. So yeah, our peripheral entry is very much ready to go, if you will. Okay, so again, we've got the extreme, which we can look for 5-second entry off, and we've got the decisional, which is flips off this demand here, which breaks the high. So yeah, we've got valid decisional here. So any entries within this zone are kind of completely valid to look at. Now we get even more confluence for this trade in that we have these stacked highs underneath, which act as inducement. So there'll be sellers looking to sell here. Once we take them out and we tap into this flip, which shows a lot of aggression in this wick as well, then we can look for shorts. So let's hop onto 5 seconds and see what we get. This will be our first change of character, which, as we can see, we don't get a flip off. Now effectively we'd be looking for kind of a flip within this demand here. So we take out the demand and we don't get a well-formed flip, but we do get these buy to sell wicks here, which I'm happy to look at, mainly because of this kind of very strong aggressive reaction that we've seen. So because this is so aggressive, I'll be happy to kind of look at this smaller sign of interaction of a flip, rather than like a well-formed bullish candle followed by a failure of demand. So I can see that there has been interaction here. So what I want to do now is effectively be waiting to execute up here with a kind of decent bit of buffer above the high, something like that, and I'll be waiting for a confirmation of this decisional right here. So let's see what happens. Okay, so this decisional gets voided. So now we're either going to mark it up here or wait for another confirmation within this leg. So let's see what we get. Okay, so we're tapped in here, and again, if you didn't get tapped in here, this is actually, this second entry is the one that I took, but we have a confirmation right here. So we come up on the 5 seconds, we take out this high, and then we take out the low, and we've already seen our interaction over here, so we don't need to see it again. So now, again, if you're not in this trade up here, if you haven't got in, then, which I wasn't in this one up here, but once I saw this confirmation, I was happy to execute here, just like this. So again, you could use a sell stop if you want here. It would just about cover you, but I didn't quite get my position in quickly to execute a sell stop, so I just slapped sell when we came back in. So yeah, this is a peripheral entry, because if we just go through the steps again, our Inceptive one would be like up here, because that's the first change of character, but because we didn't tap a refined POI, we wanted to see order flow away, which we got established, and then we entered on the flip. And I'm not going to go through targets because that's another video, but my first target for this trade when I took it was down here at this demand, which got hit very quickly indeed. So yeah, those are my two entry styles. Again, just really simple, and you can see there wasn't very much variance on the 5 seconds, but literally just the Inceptive entry, we're going to be entering up here, and that's only if we tap a refined POI on the left like this. We can enter on the first change of character, and if we don't tap a refined POI, such as what happens here, then we wait for the order flow to be established, which is exactly what we get, and then we look for our 5 second entry and a valid one MPOI. So yeah, that is literally it. Not very complex, and that is kind of all I will enter on in some form or another. You know, buy stop or market exec, depending on how big the zone is on the 5 seconds. But yeah, that is literally it. Yeah, we just, when it comes down to it, all we're seeing is a 1 minute change of character and a flip, and a 5 second change of character and a flip. Now, I'm just going to end this video by saying you cannot just single out these entry types and use them like anywhere in price. It has to be from a very specific level, and this level is good for multiple reasons, which I'm not going to go over in this video, but well, you can go back to my previous video of POI selection to understand why this would be a good level. But if you start using 1M changes of character and flips just out in the middle of nowhere, you're going to get absolutely slammed. Like, we can see there's one right here. Oops, I did not mean to do that. We can see there's one right here where we take out this low, you know, we take out this high, and then we take out the low, and then you could, well, this one would have actually worked, to be fair, or at least got you to break even. But this can easily just, like a 1M change of character can just occur anywhere, like here, for example. You can just get in and then get slapped immediately, or here, or here you wouldn't get tagged. But my point is, if you just use a 1M change of character and a flip without having the right levels identified, you're going to get mashed. So yeah, just make sure everything is based on the high time frame first and foremost, and the low time frame should be used basically just as confirmation of solid high time frame levels. So with that, I'm going to call it there, and yeah, I hope you guys got a load of value from this. Again, just backtest all of this before you just start applying it to your live trading, because it might not go that well for you. You need to have all your criteria and stuff in place. But yeah, I hope you guys got some value from this. This was kind of requested for a long while, so should clear up certain things, and you've all got my entry source now. So go do with that what you will. And yeah, finally hit that subscribe button, that like button, comment telling me what you think, because that would be good to get some feedback. And yeah, hit the link in the description for my Instagram and one-to-one coaching, and we can get some nice stuff on the go. So yeah, big up guys, this has been Liquid State with the entries video. Have a astounding weekend, and I'll see you later. Bye.